welcome you from Miller Park, Milwaukee. Feels like Christmas time outside, but it's all tight here inside Miller Park as we get ready for the Brewers and the St. Louis Cardinals. And oh, baby, the Brewers with 9 consecutive wins. That kid is awesome. As Matt Garza gets ready to make his first start against St. Louis and looking for his second win of the year. And hi, everybody. We welcome you. Don't mind the snow at all. It is April 14th, 414. That means it's Milwaukee Day. Great to have you with us alongside Bill Schroeder. I'm Brian Anderson. It is snowing outside, Rock. The Cardinals are in town, though, and the Brewers are red hot. There's a lot to recommend here for this one this evening.
And this is a big series for the Milwaukee Brewers. I mean, they have won 9 straight. They're 10-2. And I think they believe that they are a contender. But if they are a contender, they need to start beating the St. Louis Cardinals. They haven't been able to do that much in the last couple of years. They're going to be playing the Cardinals quite a bit. Right now, the offense for the Cardinals really hasn't clicked on all cylinders. Their best offensive player, Yadier Molina, not in the lineup. He's got 3 home runs, 9 RBIs. Matt Carpenter, their leadoff hitter, he's off to a pretty good start. Their pitching is very solid. They got a lot of good young arms. They don't have Beltran, but they do have Johnny Peralta, the new shortstop. So the Brewers need to start beating these Cardinals.
Yep, it is the first of 19 meetings between the Brewers and the Cardinals. We'll see St. Louis again at the end of April. This starts a 3-game series, so we'll send it to the desk when we continue. Craig Kashawn and Davey Nelson will talk Matt Garza right after this.
Menards. Save big money on all your home improvement needs at Menards. By Miller Lite, now in the original can, it's Miller time. By Toyota, let's go places. And by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
Everybody's trying to keep up with the Cardinals, and rightfully so. They deserve it. They've done all the right things, and they've accomplished many feats in the past couple of seasons, with the World Series appearance under a new manager and, multiple playoff appearances, multiple division championships here. So, yeah, they're doing the right things, but I think we got the talent and the grit and the grind and the want in our locker room to knock them off.
Matt Garza explaining why he wants to be a Brewer. He wants to win a Central Division title. He knows the St. Louis Cardinals stand in the way. The Brewers just 5-14 against St. Louis last year, Davey. Garza knows how to beat these guys. Didn't have a great first 3 starts in his career against them, but his last 4 have been pretty sharp.
That's right, and you'd like to see that. You don't want it reversed. You like it the way it was. Okay, his first 3 starts, a little tough, but the last 4, he has been on fire against the Cardinals. And you know what? He is doing the job by getting his breaking ball over and his changeup.
All right, we'll see how he fares tonight, looking for his first Brewer win and now his 3rd start out on the hill in a Brewer uniform. Lineup's first pitch all on the way. Can the Brewers make it a perfect 10 straight wins?
But it's beautiful inside Miller Park. A comfortable 60 degrees. Roof is all closed up. And we're just about ready for Milwaukee Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin. There is Matt Garza. And he leads the crew out onto the field here. And the Brewers back in their retro Friday uniforms again. Why not? The streak is alive and well. Mike Matheny, former Brewer, in his 3rd year as the St. Louis skipper. Interesting note about Mike Matheny. He has managed more playoff games than any current National League manager other than Bruce Bochy.
Isn't that something?
And this is his 3rd year in the World Series last year. And Matheny's batting order looks like this today. It's brought to you by Associated Bank. Matt Carpenter leads off. Colton Wong at 2nd. Matt Holliday batting 3rd. Middle of the order is Matt Adams, Alan Craig, and newcomer Johnny Peralta coming from the Tigers to the Cardinals. Bottom 3, John Jay, Tony Cruz, and Lance Lynn. And as Rock mentioned, noticeably absent is Yadier Molina, his first day off of the season. And there's Matt Garza. He gets a call against the division rivals tonight, partner.
Off to a very good start. He should have won his first start. He lost 1-0 to the Atlanta Braves. Very good against the St. Louis Cardinals. A 3-1 record in 7 starts. Last year he was 1-0 against St. Louis, and the Cardinals give him added incentive. Wants to beat the Cardinals. Check out the Brewers Menards defense as written in by Ron Renneke. Logan Schafer gets another start out in left field. Chris Davis sits this one out again. Lyle Overbay, after a big double in yesterday's ball game to set the Brewers up late in the game, gets the start at first. Jonathan Lucroy back behind home plate tonight.
Well, the Brewers have won 9 consecutive ball games. They have 3 straight sweeps. As you see, our 4-man umpiring crew. That's the crew chief there, Jeff Kellogg. He's the guy to keep an eye on in case we go to a challenge in tonight's ball game. Cardinals coming off back-to-back wins at home against the Cubs. They had to fight some rain yesterday and a rain delay. Got in here a little bit later than expected last night. Brewers took care of the Pirates in a tidy 2 hours and 11 minutes behind Kyle Lohse and Will Smith, who faced one batter and got the save. Lohse picked up the win, and the Brewers won 4-1 over the Pirates and extended their winning streak to 9 in a row. And the Brewers come in at 10-2 on the season. St. Louis at 7-5. Matt Carpenter leads off. First pitch from Garza is away for ball 1, and off we go. Matt Carpenter coming off a great year last year, a career season. Led the National League in hits, in runs and doubles. Led the NL in multi-hit games as well. And now third base is his job full time. Cardinals didn't adjust much to their current roster. Rock mentioned that Carlos Beltran noticeably absent from this lineup. He is now in New York. That's a big bat that the Cardinals are trying to replace, but they have some big bats elsewhere in their batting order.
And these guys really haven't started to swing the bats except for the last 2 days against the Cubs. They've scored 16 runs in the last 2 games after sputtering pretty much throughout the beginning of the season. Power numbers aren't there right now anyway. You hope that continues here at Miller Park.
Carpenter shows bunt and will walk on 4 consecutive pitches. And he wants to do baseball. So a leadoff walk to Matt Carpenter. Carpenter among league leaders in that category. Such a patient hitter. This entire Cardinal lineup sees a lot of pitches per plate appearance. But they're only hitting .236 as a team coming in.
Well, you know they're going to get going at some point. It's going to be important for Garza to have a good first inning. Last start against the Phillies, gave up 3 in the first and was able to settle down. You don't want to do that tonight.
Kolten Wong at second base tonight. Finding someone to succeed in the 2 spot has been a search for St. Louis, as Wong pops this one up. Aramis Ramirez will make the call and the catch, and there is the first out of the ball game for Matt Garza. Cardinals have Mark Ellis on a minor league rehab right now, expecting him back, and he'll work over at second base with Kolten Wong. There's a lot of youth in this ball club, and now that Beltran is gone, one of the focal points offensively, and maybe the top offensive focal point for the Cardinals, is Matt Holliday. And Holliday pops it up. That's going to stay playable. Lyle Overbay in foul grounds makes the catch for out number 2. So after a leadoff walk, a couple of pop-ups.
And 92 miles an hour for Garza. He got Holliday a little bit behind it. Garza in his start against the Phillies struggled with his breaking ball early on, but really came up with a good curveball as the game went on. And fastball, slider, curveball, and a changeup for Garza. Been all fastballs so far tonight.
Here's Matt Adams. And first base is his job alone to start the year for St. Louis. Now that Beltran is gone, Alan Craig is their everyday right fielder. Adams is off to a good start. He hasn't been driving in a lot of runs, only has 2 ribbies thus far, but he has 15 hits through the first 12 games of the year, and he comes in with a batting average of .326.
Yeah, they're getting their hits for the most part, but just not driving the baseball. You know they will at some point, particularly this guy. This guy's got a good eye at the plate for a big hitter.
Now the Cardinals, the reigning National League champions. Mike Matheny, in just his second year as the Cardinal skipper, took him to the World Series. Cardinals losing to the Boston Red Sox. Matheny took his club to the postseason in his first year as well. Phantom Cam in operation tonight as you look at the mechanics of Matt Garza.
Yeah, right over the top. Good follow through. You can see the torque that is on that right arm when he gets rid of that baseball.
2 balls and a strike on Adams. 1 of 5. Or make it 4 left-handers in the starting lineup for Mike Matheny. Adams hit 8 home runs in September last year. Alan Craig got injured. Adams stepped in and set a rookie record for home runs in the month of September. 17 home runs overall. And with the shift on, he knocks it over the head of Scooter Gennett. Carpenter, big turn at second, and he'll stay there. So a base hit for Adams. 2 on for St. Louis in this first inning.
It shows you he's able to wait back pretty well. I mean, that was that cut fastball, the slider, but not a bad location. It was supposed to be down and in. Left it out over the plate, but it was down. But Adams, the big guy, able to hook it over the head of Gennett, who was out there in short right field. You're going to get a big vibration off the end of the bat. You can see the way that thing wiggles as it makes contact, and down and through, gets a base hit.
A broken bat single for Matt Adams. So 2 on with 2 away for Alan Craig. Craig, a big bat in this Cardinal lineup. Off to a slow start as well. Hitting just a .122. He has just 5 hits this year. He's driven in 3 runs. Cardinals were historically good with runners in scoring position last year, and Alan Craig was the best in the National League in that category. He hit .454 with runners in scoring position last year.
Yeah, the Cardinals as a team about .320. Much different this year. They're not coming up with the big hits yet.
St. Louis, the lowest batting average with runners in scoring position. Third lowest, I beg your pardon. Garza making his second start here at Miller Park. He was brilliant in his first start. He took a tough luck loss against the Braves, but he went 8 innings and only gave up 2 hits and 1 run. Little jam shot. Ramirez will wind it up, and that will retire the side. So the Cardinals put 2 on, but Garza puts up a 0. And off and running here at Miller Park. Brewers coming up. streak in his tenure as the manager of the Milwaukee Brewers. Last year the Brewers won 9 in a row as well in April, and the Brewers trying to take it to double digits with a victory tonight against the St. Louis Cardinals. Associated Bank batting order for the Brewers tonight: Gomez, Segura, and Braun, Ramirez, Lucroy, and Overbay in the middle, with Jeanette and Schafer rounding out the position players. Matt Garza on the mound. Same starting 8 on the position player side as yesterday. And that's the batting order that will face right-hander Lance Lynn, who is 2-0 but a high ERA to begin the season.
Yeah, the Cardinals score a lot of runs for this guy. They always have. He had the 3rd best run support in the National League last year, over 5.5 runs. The Cardinals have scored 14 runs for him this year in 2 starts.
Gomez with 4 home runs, 9 runs batted in, and a huge hack to get this one started tonight. Gomez has 4 career leadoff home runs. He had one earlier on this homestand against the Pirates. I was asked a question earlier today: who is the most important player for the Brewers in the first 12 games of the season? That's a tough question to answer, but certainly Carlos Gomez is on the short list.
No doubt. You know, the way he's been able to energize this offense. An offense that has been much better on the road than at Miller Park this year. And that's what you're talking about. Not just the power numbers that he's been able to put up. I mean, he's doubles and triples and making things happen on the bases.
National League leader in total bases. He has 3 doubles, 1 triple, and those 4 home runs. He's driven in 9 as well. 3rd on the club in RBIs behind Ramirez and Ryan Braun. Yesterday Gomez was 1 for 3. He drove in a run. Part of that 4-1 Milwaukee win over Pittsburgh. Backing up a gem by Kyle Lohse.
Yeah, gem's an understatement, wasn't it? The way he was able to mow through that Pirates batting order last night or yesterday afternoon. 2 hours and 11 minutes is all it took. Lohse now 10-2 career against the Pirates.
And the former Cardinal will join us on a headset in the 3rd inning. His day yesterday: 9 strikeouts, had 5 in a row at one point, and finished with 8 2/3 innings. He lowered his ERA to 3.05, picking up his 2nd win of the year.
Yeah, just when the Brewers needed it most. The bullpen had been used quite a bit. A couple of guys were down, not available, so Kyle Lohse picked a good time to pitch into the 9th inning.
Gomez lays off a breaking ball. The count goes 3-2.
I mentioned that Lance Lynn's given up 8 runs already this year. 6 of those have come in the 1st inning. We'll see if the Brewers can capitalize.
Gomez seeing a lot of pitches here in this first at bat of the ball game for the Brewers. Pitch number 8 on the way from Lynn, and a 3-2 count, and Gomez strikes out right down the heart, but with big velocity, and Gomez is retired.
Yep, 94 miles an hour up in the strike zone. You see the 2-seam grip right down the middle at about belt high, and Gomez just a tick behind it.
Here's Gene Segura now. Segura was 1 for 4 yesterday. His only hit of the homestand so far. He's 1 for 12 on the homestand. Had a great defensive play yesterday in the 1st inning, robbing Andrew McCutchen of a base hit. Take a look at the Cardinals defensively, Rock, courtesy of Menard.
Yeah, no Yadi or Molina. Tony Cruz gets the start. The first off day for Molina this year, and the free agent acquisition Johnny Peralta at shortstop. And that's your Menard's Cardinals defense.
Tony Cruz gets the call behind the plate, his first start of the season. Brewers will match up with the Cardinals 19 times this year. I'll see him in St. Louis at the end of April. Won the National League Central last year and one of 3 teams from the division to make it to the postseason last season. It's the toughest division in baseball, the National League Central. And now that the Brewers are in the mix, they feel like this year. 4 teams that you could legitimately see in the postseason. I think the Cubs are still in a rebuilding mode and trying to get their organization squared away. But the Reds, the Brewers, as Segura lines one shallow center, that's down. A base hit. Gene Segura with a single.
And Segura, just like Matt Adams, able to wait back on a breaking pitch. This is a curveball from Lance Lynn. And you see the rotation going down. Plenty of the plate, but down in the strike zone and right off the end of the bat, and he dumps it into short center field.
So Segura, a stolen base threat at first, is on for Ryan Braun. Segura is 3 out of 6 in stolen base attempts this year. Braun steps in with 3 home runs and 10 runs batted in. Second on the club in ribbies behind Ramirez.
Tony Cruz with a decent throwing arm, but he's certainly no Yadier Molina. There aren't too many that are. So ordinarily don't run against the Cardinals. You might see the Brewers press it a little bit here tonight.
Braun with good numbers career against Lynn, 4 for 10. That includes a home run. Well, Lance Lynn, he looks a little off in this first inning.
Well, he's been doing that first 2 starts. His first 2 starts both came against the Cincinnati Reds. He's had trouble in the first inning. And then he settles down.
Brewers trying to take advantage here as Braun on the ground to short, could be 2, and it goes 6-4-3, and Lance Lynn a scoreless first inning despite giving up a hit. We head to the second.
Now Yadier Molina missing from the Cardinals lineup, and manager Mike Matheny saying that this is just a day off for him, saying that, you know, Yadier Molina, he certainly want him in the lineup every day, but it's tough because we want to be smart with him. We want to be conscientious of him, his body, and keeping him healthy throughout a long season. He certainly has a lot of miles on him, so no injury issue with Yadi, just a day of rest. And talking about his replacement, Tony Cruz, it's certainly a challenge for as sparingly as he plays, but he says he prepares exactly the way Yadi does. They're very close, and so he says he certainly doesn't have Yadi's instincts, but he's learning and feels he's a very capable fill-in for him here today.
All right, Sophia, thanks. As Yadier Molina gets his first day off, Jonathan Lucroy has played in all but one game for the Brewers, as well as Johnny Peralta sends out one deep center field. Gomez will watch it go out of here. And the newest Cardinal, Johnny Peralta, puts the Redbirds ahead 1-0. His third home run of the year already. Matter of fact, he has 4 hits and 3 home runs now.
Yeah, some kind of offensive shortstop. I mean, he can pick it pretty well. Range is limited, but boy, can he swing the bat. And it shows you right there. Nice easy swing, a little bit of a leg kick, and got one out over the plate, knocked it out of here to dead center. Gomez running out of room.
Here's John Jay taking strike one from Garza.
He was measuring it, wasn't he? Just ran out of room right off the back wall. Hey, talk about Yadier Molina. And, you know, he has caught a lot of games. He hardly ever misses. Well, he's only 31 years old, but I mean, if he were to hear that he says he's got a lot of miles on, he'd probably agree with you, but he's still got a lot of time left in the big leagues. But you just can't catch every single day.
Nobody knows that better than his manager, Mike Matheny. There's been some talk that you could play Molina at first base a little bit. They tried that last year occasionally. He's so good behind the plate, though, that's where he belongs.
Yeah, the problem you have as a manager, though, with Jonathan Lucroy and Molina is the fact that they're so good offensively. You hate to see him out of the lineup.
Broken bat fly ball to Logan Schafer for the first out of the inning.
Catchers at the big leagues, defensive minded. You give him a day off, and you might not lose a lot offensively, but you do with those two guys out. A good pitch on the inner half of the plate, and John Jay gets eaten up inside.
And here's Molina's backup, Tony Cruz. Doesn't see the field very often. And Garza deals him a strike. Cruz hitting 8th. Pitcher due up next. 27-year-old backup catcher. Last year he played in just 51 games backing up Molina. Tough to maintain your skills offensively when you play so sporadically. Cruz is thought of as a pretty good hitting catcher coming up through the system, and then when he got to the big leagues, he hit in the 250, 260 range. But last year really fell off. He hit just 203 last season.
How often does he play, right?
Right.
I mean, it's hard to stay sharp.
He only got 123 at bats.
Yeah.
Last season, was with the ball club the entire year.
Tougher thing to do is to back up a guy like Yadier Molina. You don't play but maybe once every 2 weeks.
And he lines one into left field, a base hit. So the Cardinals with 3 hits already and a walk, 4 base runners thus far. And with 1 away, that'll send Lance Lynn to the plate, possibly up there to bunt. No, it's the case with most major league lineups, but it is especially so with the Cardinals. Matt Garza has to control the bottom of the batting order. You have so many run producers at the top. As Land gets a bunt down, it's a good one. And Overbay will put the tag on him for the second out. Sacrifice bunt for the St. Louis pitcher.
Hey, that brings us to tonight's Tavern of the Game winner. It's Bronco Billy's in Reedsburg. If they call the Brewers in the next 24 hours, they get 40 Miller Lite beer pen tickets to a Brewers home game. This offer courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and Miller Lite. Oh, that Miller Lite party deck out there in right, always packed. It doesn't matter what's going on the rest of the ballpark. That party deck is always alive out there.
Seems like a good place to have a party.
Yeah.
There's a breaking ball in there for a strike.
See?
Look at them.
Having a blast.
They're just out of control up there.
See, now they're going to know they're on TV. See them waving?
And that is a raging crowd going on early in this game. Just let them settle in for a little bit, huh? That Carpenter takes strike 2. I think they are extremely close to the outdoors there. That's probably the closest you can get to being outside.
Probably still peeling off coats and hats, mittens.
What a day.
Kidding me.
31 degrees game time temperature outside Miller Park.
60 something in here.
Yeah, 62 officially, if you care.
I do.
It is twice as warm inside Miller Park than it is outside. Yes? Had a little snow collecting. You know, I was just about to bring the snow sticks in, too. But just for principle's sake, I'm leaving them out.
Okay.
When it stops snowing, I'll bring them in.
All right.
On April 14th. Cardinals on the board with a Johnny Peralta home run. As Garza faces Matt Carpenter, he's got him 0-2. That's Cruz at second. And on the ground, backhanded by Jeanette. And that'll retire the side. But the Cardinals strike first. Johnny Peralta with his 3rd home run of the year. Johnny Peralta with a home run for the Cardinals. A leadoff home run in the second. And the middle of the order coming up for the Brewers here in the second inning. Ramirez will start it. Ramirez, Lucroy, and Overbay. Lynn faced 3 batters in the first. He gave up a hit to Segura, then got Braun to bounce into a 6-4-3 double play. Did not look free and easy in that first inning, though, Lance Lynn, but he was able to get through it with no damage. Thrown a lot of breaking balls early as well.
He's got a good curveball. You're talking to Johnny Nairn, the Brewers hitting coach. Fastball in the low 90s, low to mid 90s. Throw a slider and a curveball. He'll throw an occasional changeup to a left-handed batter. Doesn't really throw too many to the right-handers.
Well, Ramos off to a great start, hitting .380, 19 hits and 11 RBIs in his first 12 games. Ramirez had a hit yesterday, drove in a run. The kind of start the Brewers needed from Aramis Ramirez. He has been a historically slow starter throughout his career in the month of April and sometimes into May. Currently 5th in the National League in RBIs. Mark Trumbo is going off in Arizona. First-year Diamondback coming over from the Angels.
That's a good hitting ballpark, just like the Big A was. What are they calling that stadium out in Anaheim? It was the Big A when I was there. That's what I'm going to call it.
I think the Big A still applies.
Okay.
That's kind of the local vernacular still. Now, Trumbo leads the National League in homers and runs batted in. Ramos checks in among league leaders in batting average to start play today. He is currently 8th in the league. Chase Utley's hitting .500, the league leader.
And Ramirez has been deadly with men on base.
2-2. Stays alive. Brewers back in their retro Friday uniforms, the ball and glove look. Kept this winning streak going. So they've been wearing the Friday uniforms. I don't blame them.
I like them.
And it's not just the Brewers who have to adjust to the uniforms. You know, Bernie, he's got to hit the dry cleaner too. He's back in his retro Friday gear.
Good looking jumpsuit on him tonight.
He is a handsome devil, isn't
he? Yes, he is.
Ramirez into left and right at Matt Holliday for the first out of the inning. Let's take a look at our Carsoup.com trivia question tonight. Since 2012, which major league pitcher has the most wins?
That guy right there, not a bad answer. He's got 35 wins since the beginning of 2012. How about Yo?
Yeah, hard to think about Lance Lynn as the elder statesman of this Cardinal pitching staff, but he is. That's how young they are. As Lucroy bats with one away.
Yeah, he and Wainwright.
Lance Lynn is 26. He'll turn 27 in May. One of the youngest pitching staffs in the big leagues as far as average age goes.
Got some youngsters in that bullpen too, some hard throwing young kids, Rosenthal and Carlos Martinez.
And Martinez setting up for Rosenthal. And Kyle Seager's out there as well as Lynn hits the corner, and it's 1-2 on Lucroy. Jonathan Lucroy has a tough time grabbing the spotlight nationally as a catcher who can hit because of catchers like Molina and Buster Posey. And Lucroy strikes out. Defensive swing by Lucroy. 2 up, 2 down for Lynn.
Yeah, sinker down and in. And you don't see Lucroy take a swing like that very often. A fastball out of the strike zone and came up empty. Way off the inside corner.
Second strikeout for Lynn. And 2 up, 2 down here in the second inning. As Lyle Overbay takes a strike. Overbay got back into the starting lineup yesterday. Mark Reynolds had been starting at first base. He'd been swinging the bat so well. But Overbay got the call, and he delivered a double yesterday, just his second hit of the season.
Hey, Renicky trying to keep both of them sharp. Gave Reynolds extended playing time. Let's see if Overbay gets the same. I guess it depends on him. Get some hits, you play, right? I tell you, Reynolds has really been surprisingly good over at first base. Not that you would thought he would be bad, but he's made some tremendous plays over there at first. Overbay's always been a good defensive first baseman.
2-1, and Overbay looks at ball 3. There's a string of right-handed starters the Brewers are facing, so the left-right platoon doesn't necessarily work so well when you're in a stretch like this. Pirates had 2 right-handers on the mound in the final 2 games, and then all 3 starters in this Cardinals series are right-handed. As Overbay draws a walk, so a 2-out base runner. And that'll give Scooter Gennett a swing here in the second inning. Gennett was part of a big play yesterday. He struck out with 2 on at second and third, but the pitch was in the dirt. And then as the Pirates tried to secure that out at first base, Tony Sanchez threw it into right field, and it led to 2 runs. It allowed the Brewers to extend their lead to 4-1, and that's how they'd finish the game. One of 2 Pirates errors.
The Brewers have been getting the breaks. Of course, they've been making their own breaks too. They've been playing good, solid defense, taking advantage of the opponent's mistakes. Something the Cardinals don't do much of. They don't make many mistakes. At least they haven't in the past.
Well, Gennett did have a hit yesterday. He was 1 out of 4, and still in that platoon with Ricky Weeks. Same principles apply for Ron Renicky with the stretch of right-handed starters. Might see Weeks start against a right-hander in this series at some point. But tonight it is Gennett. He's up there with 2 outs. Scooter with good numbers against Lance Lynn in a small sample size. He's 4 out of 6. Good take there. 2-2 the count. Gennett has a couple of walks against Lynn.
And they're giving Gennett a lot of room down that left field line. Both Matt Carpenter, third baseman, and Holiday out in left. Well, he loves to take a 2-strike pitch to left field. See if Lynn gives him one to slap that way. You see how far Carpenter is off the line.
2-2, and Gennett pulls it foul into the Brewers dugout. That rattled him a little bit. Giovanni Gallardo in harm's way. That's why they put that net in front of the railing. Gives you an escape route. That was close.
Got a duck though. Head's exposed.
Put a helmet on him over there. We'll do it again. 2-2, and a called strike 3. Gennett disagrees. Inning is over. Brewers with 2 scoreless against Lance Lynn. 1-0 Cardinals. One in the back on that foul ball a moment ago. And we're pleased to be joined now by Kyle Lohse, giving us a few minutes in the Brewers dugout. Kyle, great to have you with us. Thanks for your time, and congratulations on a terrific performance yesterday. I'm sure you wanted to finish that ball game, but what are your thoughts one day later as you take a sunflower bath?
Yeah, I wanted to finish it, but more importantly, we closed it out strong. Will Smith came in and did a great job finishing it, so no worries. I'll get another shot.
Anything about this Pirate thing, your 10-2 career? Is it just you feel comfortable against this ball club, or good matchups, or how do you explain that?
There's certain teams that you have a lot of success against for whatever reason. It just keeps happening, and I feel confident going into those games. And it's one of those things you game plan for them, and it usually works out. I got him again at my next start, so hopefully it works out the same. Yeah,
we were a little concerned when you got hit in the knee in the 5th inning, but all you did, you went out there, you retired 13 straight. The last batter you faced got a base hit, but how's the knee feel? How did it affect you yesterday?
It was a little sore. I was a little. Man, it got some rain. It's raining in here. It's crazy. Yeah, it's a lot of crazy stuff going on here. It's crazy. There's a leak in the roof apparently. Thanks. You guys looking out for me, make sure I stay hydrated. But I felt good after the initial pain went away. It hurt pretty bad, but luckily it got me in a good spot, so it didn't blow up my kneecap or anything.
Matt Garza, and a line drive off the bat of wall right to Ramirez for the first out. And Kyle, as we take a look at some footage of your outing yesterday, it felt like you got a little bit stronger. You had a run of 5 consecutive strikeouts, and you're not necessarily a strikeout pitcher anymore, but that wasn't the case yesterday. You had 9 yesterday.
Yeah, it was everything started working there for a while. At the beginning it was mostly fastball slider. I didn't really have a good feel for the curve and changeup, but as we got going it started working a little better, and once I get the 4-pitch mix going, it definitely helped out. Got a couple swings and misses, but my main thing was being efficient. I stayed efficient even though I was getting those strikeouts.
Kyle, you're in year 2 with the Brewers now, and as you look across that dugout, you see the St. Louis Cardinals. Your career changed, emerged as a St. Louis Cardinal. You got a World Series ring with them. What goes through your mind, even though you're not pitching this week, but what goes through your mind when you face your former ball club?
Well, there's a lot of guys that I went through some battles. Obviously got a ring over there, so you got some good feelings. But I'm over here now, and I like nothing more than to beat them. You want to go out and compete and show them what they were missing.
You guys having any friendly competition, you starters? I mean, you guys have been terrific. I mean, haven't given up more than 3 earned runs in any start. You guys have a little friendly, thing going on. Don't want to be that guy to break this string.
Yeah, we started in spring. We had a good group. We knew we had a good group, and we had a lot of time to talk about the things we wanted to accomplish. And we got guys that have been around, and I think it's best when we go out there and throw our game, and the next guy wants to, in a friendly way, kind of show him up and do one better if you can, and that's what we got going on.
Oh, look at this play by Scooter Gennett! Wow, what a play by the Brewers second baseman, robbing Holiday of a base hit.
All right, Scooter's been playing solid defensively. He's hit into some bad luck, but they had Holiday shaded up the middle. He had a long way to go, and a nice off-balance throw to first, right on the money. Not an easy play by Gennett, but he made it look easy.
A lot to talk about, Kyle, with this ball club. A lot of things going right, but the defense underestimated to begin the year. You had 2 great plays behind you yesterday as well. These guys are picking it.
Yeah, that was one thing. I felt bad because after the game I didn't mention it, but the defensive plays that Siggy made behind me in the first, and then Schafer grabbing that ball off the wall. Those are huge, especially when you're starting early in the game. If you have to worry about pitching with a leadoff double, that pitch count starts creeping up there because you got to be careful, try not to let the guy score. And they got me through those innings pretty quick by the defensive plays that they made.
Well, Kyle, we appreciate your time. Congratulations on a great start. We wish you many more, and we certainly thank you for putting the headset on during the ball game tonight and enduring what all your friends have in mind for you.
I just thought the roof was leaking or something. You guys saying somebody did something? I got some payback.
We have video footage of everything you need to see, so we're happy to hook you up.
I'll have to go look at that, see who I got to pay back.
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, they turned the fan on him. They sprayed water on him and sunflower seeds.
Good fun down there.
Life of a starting pitcher, right?
I imagine there's nothing like it after you win a ball game. You throw the way Lohse did. You have 4 days to enjoy it. I mean, they do have their work to do, but I would imagine it's got to be a long 4 days when you have a rough outing.
Lohse was fantastic yesterday in his second win of the year, beating the Pirates. Well, Garza trying to get through this third inning. A 2-out single by Adams. Beautiful play by Scooter Gennett to retire Holiday. 1-0 St. Louis. It was a Johnny Peralta leadoff home run in the second. Hit it to straightaway center field. Alan Craig made the final out of the first inning with 2 on. And lifts that one high in the air. Pretty well hit, but playable. And it'll be Braun to make the catch, and that will retire the side. Shenanigans, I tell you. Giovanni Gallardo, he's been active tonight. He got hit by a foul ball, and he can't break his concentration. He's a pro, that Kyle.
The third inning here at Miller Park. Hey, celebrate Go-Go's Gold Glove 2013 season. Sunday, April 27th, the Brewers take on the rival Cubs. All fans will get a Carlos Gomez Gold Glove bobblehead courtesy of U.S. Cellular. For tickets, call 414-902-4000 or visit Brewers.com.
That might be one of my favorite bobbleheads ever. You know, it's a little different. It's got the wall, the Gold Glove, the catch.
Right.
Symbolizes how great Gomez was defensively last year. Had those 5 home run saving catches last season. Logan Schafer will lead off. He had a Gold Glove caliber catch yesterday against Pittsburgh. Well, that was something else. They were buzzing about that play at the batting cage earlier.
Man, he grabbed that baseball just as his body hit that wall out there in left center. Heck of a play.
Schafer said he's a little sore today, nothing major. And once the adrenaline of the game kicked in, but instead he felt like he was in a small car accident. Had a little tightness in his neck. His shoulder was a little sore. He hit that wall pretty hard, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Right in at full speed.
Getting his second consecutive start. He was excited to be back in the lineup today. 0-2 the count, and he lays off a Lynn breaking ball. Lance Lynn, 2 scoreless. Got the benefit of a call against Scooter Gennett to end the second inning. 3 strikeouts for Lance Lynn thus far. Two and two, and a bouncer to Wang. And 1 man gone here in the 3rd inning. Our Carsoup.com trivia question: which major league pitcher has the most wins since 2012? And the answer is Max Scherzer.
Yeah, 120 last year.
Cy Young Award winner in the American League, Max Scherzer.
Lance Lynn's got 35. He's not too far behind.
We got Max Scherzer, R.A. Dickey with 35, and Lynn and Wainwright with a couple of wins this year to 35 as well. Garza bats with 1 away. Garza looking for his first hit of the season. And Lynn makes quick work of him. Strikes him out on 4 pitches, his 4th K. It is now time for you to tweet your photo using hashtag WisFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast. And it's all brought to you by AT&T. 2 up, 2 down for Lance Lynn and the Cardinals. Back to the top of the order now. Here's Carlos Gomez. Gomez had a long at bat in the 1st inning, ended with a strikeout. Lynn got him with a high fastball. Carlos with an on base percentage of .404. Doing it a little differently than most leadoff hitters do. He's brought the power, some slugging percentage. He's slugging nearly .700 right now. Add those 2 together, on base and slugging, you get OPS. That's a big stat for an offensive player. Gomez over 1,000 right now. And a big swing and a miss. That fastball, is just not quite where Gomez thinks it's going to end up. It's got a little carry to it.
Yeah, outer half and 94 miles an hour. You can see the release point for Lynn, kind of high 3/4, and just zips it right by him.
Gomez, little jam shot to short. This is Peralta. And 1, 2, 3 go the Brewers in the 3rd. The defending National League champions, St. Louis Cardinals, in town for the first time. Brewers sitting on a 9-game winning streak with Garza on the mound, trying to make it 10 in a row tonight. Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Piggly Wiggly, the official supermarket of Fox Sports Wisconsin. By Marshfield Clinic. Don't just live, shine. And by First Supply, the preferred distributor to professional contractors since 1897. 3 innings in the books at Miller Park. Climate controlled here tonight as the snow falls outside on a 30-degree evening. Nice and comfortable inside the ballpark. Matt Garza is trailing 1-0. Cardinals got a home run from Johnny Peralta in the second, and he leads off here in the fourth. 1 run on 4 St. Louis hits. Cardinals have stranded 4 tonight. Not much going on against Lance Lynn thus far offensively. The Brewers have a single from Segura and a walk from Overbay. And Lance Lynn with 4 strikeouts in the first 3 innings. They do not expect Peralta to hit the ball to the right side, at least right of Lyle Overbay.
I'd say Overbay's a long way off of that bag. I mean, you can see when you get that far off the bag, he can't be deep. So he's pretty close to being even with the bag. You know, the further off the line you are, the more shallow you have to play, opening up a little blooper into right.
Well, Johnny Peralta, twice an All-Star, made the All-Star team last year. A member of the Detroit Tigers, served a 50-game suspension, part of that biogenesis investigation. Peralta came back with the Tigers. There was a lot of discussion whether he would be welcome back as they moved into the postseason, and they actually used him in the outfield. They had already settled in with their shortstop. Dave Dombrowski made a big trade to get Jose Iglesias, who played very well, as Peralta strikes out. So Garza punches out Johnny Peralta for the first out, and that is Garza's first strikeout of the night.
Yeah, good cut fastball, slider, whatever you want to call it, right off the outside corner. Peralta hit a fastball outer half for a home run. And a well-located breaking pitch off the outside. And way out in front of it.
Oh, it's a great look from Phantom Cam.
Yeah, tried to pull it.
It's cool to see not just that they miss, but how hitters miss pitches.
Yeah, out in front, over it, under it. A lot of times you'd never be able to see that at real speed. Or sometimes not even in regular slow motion. That's how fast that bat goes through the strike zone.
John Jay is down in the count 0-2. Second plate appearance for the Cardinals center fielder, who is now a 4th outfielder with St. Louis. Peter Burgess, coming to St. Louis from the Angels, is the everyday center fielder. Probably see him in the lineup tomorrow. And the 0-2 from Garza is a bender a little bit low.
Yeah, you get a good sense for, you know, Peralta out in front. You can see his body back, the hands way out in front, and tried to pull it. It looked like it was an emergency swing. He didn't see the breaking pitch. Thought it was a fastball, and then tried to adjust his swing.
Jay chasing one upstairs. Garza hasn't had the big fastball here tonight. He's hovering 91, 92 miles an hour. Has the ability to pitch in the mid-90s.
Tough throwing hard when it's snowing outside.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And that one's in there. Garza surprised him with a fastball, and down he goes. Jay's barking on his way out.
Right at the bottom of the strike zone. Good sinking fastball, the two-seamer. Relatively big zone for Bob Davidson. And he's still jawing at somebody in that dugout. It looked like on Fox Tracks it had the strike zone just at the bottom edge.
Bob Davidson, not the most popular umpire among the players, nor is he among Brewers fans. You might remember Bob Davidson once ejected a Brewers fan here at Miller Park. What was that, a couple of years ago? He threw a guy out in the front row.
Yeah, it hurt enough.
If you've been watching some of the highlights the last few days, Bob Davidson ejected John Farrell in the Red Sox-Yankees series. They were upset about calls that were reviewed and didn't change, even though it looked like they should have been overturned. That didn't have anything to do with Bob Davidson. He's not the calling umpire in a review scenario, but John Farrell let him have it anyway.
Well, you can't let him have it in New York, right?
That's a good point. That's a safe place for those guys to be.
Don't kill the messenger here. Umpires on site have nothing to do with a review.
It's been a big discussion today in Major League Baseball. I noticed that Tony La Russa was pretty active on the interview circle today. John Farrell saying the new replay system, how it's being implemented, is not exactly reliable, but we've seen it over the first 12 days, and I could understand why Farrell would be upset, but it's been very good in the games that we've had and very efficient. And I agree with Tony La Russa in this respect that it's a work in progress, and it's going to take time to determine the timing, the pacing, how different calls are made. I think it's going to evolve, and it's going to get better and better. I think it's going along fine.
I agree.
Overbay gloves it on a couple of hops, and Cruz is retired. That's a good inning for Garza, his best yet. 3 up, 3 down with a couple of Ks. Against cancer, MLB will celebrate the stories of fans who are going to bat against breast cancer in their daily lives. One honorary Batgirl winner will be selected per club. You can visit honorarybatgirl.com to vote for your local honorary Batgirl today. Gene Segura will lead off for the Brewers here in the 4th inning. 1-0 St. Louis. There's Lee Tunnel, and we want to Send our condolences to Lee and his family. Lee lost his mother this morning to breast cancer, and tough time for the Tunnel family. She passed away this morning in Oklahoma City. He was not with the ball club on the way home from Philadelphia. Went to be by her and said he got the whole family together. It was a nice moment, but we send our best to Lee and his family. And Segura bounces to Kolten Wong, and there is out number 1.
That's what makes this business so difficult at times. I mean, when you have family issues and you're not around to to support your loved ones, and of course Lee's going to be able to head back home and be at the funeral arrangements, I would imagine, when the team heads off to Pittsburgh.
And his mother Billie Jean, and survived by her husband Ira and the 4 children. Here's Ryan Braun with 1 away. Brewers trying to get something going offensively tonight.
The Brewers have had a tough time here at Miller Park. Not sure if it's the pitching that they faced, but they've been swinging the bats much better on the road. Boston, Philadelphia, they've been winning, but really haven't put up the big numbers offensively.
Brewers went through that 6-game road trip through Boston and Philly, averaging 7 runs per game, hit over 300. They were in double-digit hit totals in all 3 of the Philadelphia games and had a 19-hit game against Boston in Game 2 of that series. One and 2 to Ryan Braun.
Yeah, that last one was right at the bottom of the strike zone, but it looked as though on Fox Tracks that Bob Davidson right.
And Braun chased one this time. Down he goes. Lance Lynn with his 5th strikeout and starting to dial it in now. He's only given up a single and a walk. 2 base runners.
Hey, make sure you're at Miller Park Monday, April 21st through Wednesday the 23rd when the Brewers battle the Padres in San Diego's only trip to Milwaukee of 2014. For tickets, call 414-902-4000 or visit Brewers.com.
Here's Ramirez. Ramos lined out to left his first time up. Hit it right at Matt Holliday, who is very deep in the outfield. Lance Lynn got off to a great start last year. ERA below 3 in the first 2 months of the year. Had a great finish to the season as well in September. Joe Kelly and Lance Lynn combined for a 2.11 ERA in the month of September for St. Louis as they surge to a division title. Well, the Brewers looking for their first long ball of the day, looking for their first run. Powerball home run leaderboard. Gomez, the leadoff hitter at the top. Ramos Ramirez has 1 home run this season. Proved to be a game winner for the Brewers here at Miller Park. And that ball's hit well to center field, but playable for Jay. And Lynn retires the side in order. He has retired 6 in a row. Cardinals lead 1-0.
5th, down 1-0 to the Cardinals, and Fox Sports Supports is proud to collaborate with Stand Up to Cancer, a groundbreaking initiative created to accelerate innovative cancer research that gets new therapies to patients quickly in order to save lives now. For more information, you can visit foxsportsupports.com. Now, Ron Renneke before the game said no question that the pitching and the offense is getting the attention it deserves, but the defense was fantastic in the series against Pittsburgh. 2 plays in particular, Segura robbing McCutchen on a backhander in the first inning, and then the next play coming out of the second inning, Schafer made an outstanding catch right against the wall doing his Carlos Gomez impression, and he said certainly Kyle Lohse was not the same in those first 2 innings, and Lohse gave them credit, saying they certainly changed the complexion of the game and allowed him to get deep into the game, really settling in from the 5th inning on. And Ron Renneke saying that defensive plays like that can really change the complexion of a game and allow his starters to get deep into games, which he's been looking for.
Hey, good defensive plays can help you. Bad defensive plays, like the ones the Pirates pulled off, cost them yesterday's ball game. So yeah, I mean, 2 teams, 2 different types of defense, and you know, there you see your end result. That can really deflate a pitcher when you make a good pitch, you strike out a guy, your defense lets you down and costs you a couple of runs.
Yeah, that was a big play in yesterday's game, and conversely, Lohse was energized by some of the early defense yesterday. Garza's had some good plays behind him so far today. It feels like Lance Lynn is dominating this matchup with Matt Garza, but even though the Cardinals have 4 hits, only 1 run on the board, a leadoff home run in the second. Garza appears to be getting stronger here. He's coming off his best inning. Had a couple of strikeouts, his first 2 Ks, and a 3-up, 3-down 4th. You always like the opposing pitcher to lead off an inning. And the count goes to 3-2.
It's kind of creeping up on Garza in this game. I mean, 67 already, and we're just starting the 5th inning.
It was a big inning for him in the 4th. Got through that one quickly. Another 3-2 pitch, and Lynn takes a called strike 3. Down he goes. Speaking of defense, Scooter Gennett in the highlights tonight, courtesy of Southwest Airlines and the non-stoppable play. Gennett spinning and firing in a dandy against Matt Holliday.
Yeah, dangerous throw. He had some time to set himself with Holliday running, but the off-balance throw right on the money.
And what would normally be a routine ground ball, because the shift was on for Holliday, turned into a tough play, and Gennett made a nice play for the out. Top of the order now. Here is Matt Carpenter, who has walked and grounded out thus far. He bounced out with a runner at second base in the 2nd inning.
Might have been one of the biggest surprises in all of baseball last year, Matt Carpenter. Who would have thought that he would have been able to put up a season like he did? And before last year, nobody even talking about Matt Carpenter. What a year.
Finished the year with 199 hits. Did not have a player in the big leagues get to the 200 hit mark last season. Carpenter led the NL in that category.
And sprays the ball all over the diamond. You could tell that by the way the Brewers have him played defensively. No shift.
There's a called strike 3, and Carpenter is barking at Bob Davidson, and Davidson throws him out. Carpenter is ejected, and Mike Matheny might just go with him.
Yeah, that's a quick hook right there. Not sure what Carpenter said. He might have said one of the many magic words to get thrown out. He might have one of the shortest fuses in all of sports, talking about Bob Davidson.
Bob Davidson letting Matheny bark. He may not leave until he is ejected.
I'm not sure what Carpenter said, but whatever it was, it offended Bob Davidson pretty badly. Well, Scooter Gennett and now Matt Carpenter get called on pitches that are way off the outside corner. I guess he got him for arguing balls and strikes, right? It's not often a guy gets thrown out as he walks back to the dugout.
So Matheny is without his third baseman now, as Garza deals strike one to Kolten Wong.
I think Matheny did all he could to get thrown out, but Bob Davidson wouldn't do it.
Wong, left center. Gomez, long way to go. Here's Schafer, and it'll be Schafer to make the catch as Gomez slides behind him. Boy, those two, that is a thing of beauty in the outfield watching those two work. Schafer runs it down, calling all the way. Gomez in case he couldn't make the play. 1-0. Cardinals lead it. Brewers coming up at the bottom of the fifth.
Inning and knock your 2014 group outing out of the ballpark with group tickets starting at just $9. Miller Park is the perfect destination for your next group event, whatever your group size and budget. Call 414-902-4777 or visit brewers.com/groups.
Well, got another pitcher's duel going on here at Miller Park. Lance Lynn leading Matt Garza in the Brewers 1-0. Daniel Descalso will take over at third base for the ejected Matt Carpenter, as Jonathan Lucroy leads off. That could be a big play in this game, a fifth inning ejection, because you got Kolten Wong, a left-handed hitter who plays second base, and an opportunity to pinch hit if Matheny would see a left-hander coming into the game, and the Brewers have 3 left-handers in their bullpen, so obviously he is stuck in this spot right now with Descalso in the game. There's been a couple of called strike threes that have been well off the plate. Scooter Gennett got rung up on a very similar pitch to Matt Carpenter. Carpenter was thrown out as he was walking back towards the dugout. He was barking, but he was ejected by the home plate umpire.
Didn't look like he was too angry, but remember, there's certain words that you say to an umpire, you're gone immediately. You know, the Cardinals still have an infielder on their bench, a right-handed hitter, Pete Cosma. So they are still protected in the event Ron Rennicky brings in a left-hander. And there's certain umpires, and you know the Brewers do a good job of giving their players scouting reports. They let the guys know who's going to be working the game, and some guys you just can't say anything to, or they're going to toss you. And Bob Davidson's one of those guys. You got to know who you're dealing with.
2-2 to Lucroy. Outside and high for ball 3.
The catchers know when they get behind home plate what kind of umpires there are. Now everybody says the strike zone's the same for everybody. It's not. Let's face it, it's not.
Well, if you're Lance Lynn or Matt Garza and there's a left-handed batter up, he's called that pitch a couple of times.
Yeah. 2 pitches off the outside corner, rung him up.
You got to exploit that spot. As Lucroy strikes out, Lynn puts a fastball by him.
And 93 miles an hour right down the middle. Yeah, Lynn's got some good giddy up on that fastball. Apparently, Brewers aren't picking it up all that well, because look where this ends up. I mean, that's right down the middle. You don't see Lucroy miss many of those.
That is 8 straight retired by Lance Lynn. Garza sitting on 7 consecutive retired. Lynn has 6 strikeouts now as he faces Lyle Overbay. A 1-0 ball game. The only run of the game came in the second. Johnny Peralta led the inning off with a home run to center field. A little jam shot out to Wang at second base. Overbay is retired. 2 up, 2 down for Lynn. That'll bring up Scooter Gennett. Gennett was called out on strikes in the second. Take a look at the swing by Overbay and the vibration. Oh, that's why it hurts.
Yeah, see him try and pull those hands in. Hands right against the body, but still got jammed.
And that top thumb taking the brunt of that. And now you get a good idea why Ryan Braun, when he hits one off the end of the batter, gets jammed. Why that nerve damage he has in his thumb gets inflamed.
Kids don't have to worry about that these days with aluminum bats. You don't get that same feeling.
Well, having been jammed quite often in my amateur career with an aluminum bat, it still hurts, but not quite like a wood bat.
Not even close.
3-0 to Gennett. That one's in there for a strike. That is an open door on the outside corner to a left-handed hitter. And these two pitchers are exploiting that spot. And there's ball 4. Missed a little bit low. Scooter Gennett is aboard, and that breaks up the string of consecutive batters retired for Lance Lynn. As we check in with Sophia.
Wisconsin sports fans, make sure you stay up to date with all the latest events around the area, from your favorite hometown teams to the Fox Sports Wisconsin girls. We've got you covered. Log on to foxsportswisconsin.com and click on the More tab for information. Logan Schafer comes up to bat. Ron Renneke saying before the game he likes what both Davis and Schafer are doing in left field. He said it's hard to take Davis's bat out of the lineup the way he was hitting on the road. Still looking for his first hit here this homestand, as well as Schafer, but like Schafer going up against Lynn today. And you guys mentioned that catch he made yesterday, the soreness he had in his neck and his shoulders and his ribs from colliding with the wall. But he said, I think the wall's feeling it a little bit more than I am today.
Yeah.
So you got to love when he says that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good line. That is interesting. He made a great catch yesterday and called Gomez off. I think Gomez respects Schafer a great deal as a defensive outfielder. Ron Renneke calls him one of the better defenders in the entire organization, including Gomez. This was the play yesterday, and bam! Made the catch the instant before he hit the wall. Kyle Lohse appreciated that effort.
He feels a lot better hitting the wall as opposed to running into Carlos.
1-1 to Schafer. Schafer hit into some bad luck yesterday. Had a chance at a couple of hits yesterday. Had a line drive bullet that was caught at first base. Supremely confident, though, Logan Schafer. And you can always tell when you talk about a guy and his at-bats. Is he focusing on the positive? I told him, hey, tough luck yesterday at the plate. He goes, oh, man, felt good to hit one on the barrel. And, you know, it was all, he turned the conversation his way.
Yeah, it's all about Johnny Nair, and that's what his MO is as a hitting coach. I mean, he always tries to pull a positive, make a victory out of a failure. You don't get a hit, what can you get that's positive out of it?
Had a fascinating discussion with Johnny Nair today. We're going to sit down with Johnny at some point, let him break down his philosophy, which came from Clint Hurdle when he was the hitting coach in Texas. It is something that Kevin Long with the New York Yankees, terrific hitting coach Rudy Jaramillo, who was in Chicago. Johnny Nair has adopted it as well and made it his own. There's actually a scoring system that has a lot more to do than just hits. There's so much failure as an offensive player in this game that it's an 8-point system, and it'll take many graphics to understand it. But the bottom line is you have 2 at-bats in every at-bat. There's one before you get to 2 strikes and then one when you get to 2 strikes.
And Logan Schafer does a good job with his 2-strike approach. Just put the ball in play. That's a victory.
Yeah, 2-strike ball in play is a big one that they keep. They keep a competition going monthly, and then at the end of the year. Didn't surprise us that Jonathan Lucroy won the end of year as Logan Schafer down the right field line, a base hit. Scooter Gennett trucking to third. Schafer on his way to second. And it's a double for Schafer. And with 2 outs, the Brewers get 2 on.
Well, you get a 2-out base hit, you get even more points, I guess. A cut fastball that didn't do much, down and in. Schafer just trying to put the bat on the baseball and pulls those hands in and gets it down the right field line. You knew any kind of problem out there in right field, if Craig bobbles it, he's going to send him, because now you've got Garza coming up. You can see a little bit of a jam shot. Bat wobbling as it makes contact.
Well, at the very least, you clear the pitcher spot, but let's see if Garza can come up with his first hit of the season. 1-0 St. Louis, and Garza chases that breaking ball. The equalizer. Two quick outs to start the inning, then a walk and a double by Schafer. 0-2 the count. Lynn has buried 2 sliders, hoping for a mistake here. Either one that hangs across the plate or one that gets in the dirt and gets to the screen.
And need a spinner here. It's right down the middle.
0-2 to Garza. And down he goes. He went with a fastball and strikes him out. 7th strikeout for Lance Lynn. Shutout still intact. He's working on a 2-hitter through the first 5 innings. A Monday night in Milwaukee. Series continues tomorrow. Our Miller Lite What's on Tap. Shelby Miller on the mound for the St. Louis Cardinals, and he'll match up against Marco Estrada. Has one victory on the year. He's been fantastic in his 2 starts. Got a win against the Philadelphia Phillies. Beat Cliff Lee his last time out, as a matter of fact. Stellar ERA for Estrada. He'll make his 3rd start of the year tomorrow night on the air at 5:30 for Brewers Live, and rather 6:30 I should say, and then first pitch just after 7 o'clock Central Time.
Yeah, keeping a close eye on Matt Garza and these Cardinals hitters to see how he can attack these guys tomorrow. Of course, Garza doesn't have that changeup that Estrada has. Garza's putting together a nice outing. Just one mistake. That's the home run by Johnny Peralta.
1-0 Cardinals. St. Louis has 4 hits. The Brewers with 2. Brewers left 2 on in the 5th inning. Garza struck out with runners at 2nd and 3rd, but they'll have the top of the order coming up in the bottom of the 6th inning. Heart of the order due up here against Garza. Holiday, Adams, and Allen Craig. If anybody gets on, Johnny Peralta. The way the starting rotation is set up is by design. You've got Gallardo to Lohse. Lohse, a change-up command pitcher, doesn't have the big velocity. And then you get to Garza, big fastball, slider. And then you got to change gears and go to Estrada after that. Another guy with command and a change-up pitcher. And then it's Willie Peralta. So if you're catching these guys in this wave, there's not a similar pitcher back to back.
Right.
And that's what Renicky was trying to avoid out of spring training.
You go from a changeup artist in Marco, and then you go to a guy that throws 97 with a nasty sink. Completely different look to the hitter.
Oh, and 2 the count on Holiday. And a line drive base hit. Matt Holliday with a leadoff single here in the 6th.
Man, Garza had some success against Holiday with the fastball, but maybe one too many. This one in on him, but able to fight it off into left field. Holiday popping those hips open, got it down on the trademark just a bit. A nice follow through and a line drive in the left field on an 0-2 count. The danger of coming inside on 0-2. You make a mistake, you get hurt.
Well, Matt Adams has been a tough out for Garza tonight. He's 2 for 2. Both singles to right. Got one off the end of the bat in the 1st inning and had a sharply hit single in the 3rd. That's driven left center. Logan Schafer lays out, can't get it. And now Holiday on his way to 3rd, and he's going to try to score. Segura, the throw to the plate, one hop, the tag, and he's out! Wow, what a play! Matt Holiday gunned down on a beautiful relay by the Brewers.
Great arm right there by Gene Segura. No real sign of any throwing problem with that shoulder. And check out the lead. I mean, Matt Holiday, this is why he's not able to score. He gets thrown out. Very surprised that Jose Oquendo sent him with nobody out. Holiday not running all that well. Took 2 good throws, and that's what the Brewers got. And they got the out at home plate. Boy, surprised that they sent him with nobody out. Never, ever make the first out at home plate.
Boy, look at that play by Lucroy, the catch and the tag with a big man barreling him on him.
How about the 2 throws that came into Lucroy? Well, the Brewers have executed beautifully defensively. First Gomez to Segura, and then Segura gave Lucroy a perfect one-hopper.
Craig bounces to third. Overbase coming to third. The tag and out at third base. Lyle Overbay, quick decision, gets the lead out. What a play by Lyle Overbay.
Yeah, not too many first base are going to make that throw. I mean, that's pretty much of a given. You're just going to go to the bag. But Adams doesn't run all that well. Overbay knew it, and they were able to get the out at third base. I guess anybody else running, and you're not going to make that throw. You got to know who's on the bases. Overbay did, and he got his out.
Heck of a play.
An out at home and an out at third. How about that?
One of the best defenders at first base in the big leagues. Lyle Overbay, always been a slick fielder. There's Johnny Peralta now, and he flares one into right field, a base hit. And Alan Craig won't test any more of the Brewers' arms at this point.
3 straight hits, 2 outs, and a couple of men on. Very interesting, huh, that the Cardinals would make that mistake of making the first out at home plate. You just don't do that.
You know what was interesting about that play at the plate, because there was, you know, a decision to make by the umpiring crew on where the out may be. Bob Davidson had vacated home plate, so he was down there towards third base to make a call. So the first base umpire, James Hoy, came all the way in on the rotation to make that call at the plate. He was right on it. Everybody's got somewhere to be, right? Even the umpires.
Yeah, they have rotation. They have plays. One umpire goes out to make sure the play in the outfield, then they all have to move around to cover the bases that there may be a play. You don't need a guy at first on a play like that. So they all rotate.
Nice block by Lucroy. Ball and a strike on John Jay. Three hits in the inning and 2 outs on the board. An out at the plate on an 8-6-2 relay, and then a 3-5 put out at third base, getting Adams. First and second with 2 gone. And a little flare foul that'll be in the seats. A ball and 2 strikes on John Jay. Brewers have had a lot of opportunities at cutoff and relay plays, but they've executed them impeccably so far. And they've had a lot of outs at the plate. It was a great catch by Lucroy on a hop. That's not easy to do with a catcher's mitt. The 1-2, and Jay launches one to right. That is way back and gone. 3-run home run, John Jay. And that one stings Matt Garza. "4-0 Cardinals." His first home run of the year. A strike away from getting out of the inning.
Well, his defense did its best to try and get him out of that inning, but 4 hits in the inning. And John Jay, who's been able to get on the board with his first home run. Boy, that's a biggie, but particularly the way Lance Lynn's throwing the baseball. Ouch.
Yep. Jay losing his starting job in center field. Getting a start tonight and making it count. The 4 runs allowed by Matt Garza tonight snaps a long streak of starts, allowing 3 runs or fewer. Is one of the longest in the game going back 20+ years. There's another base hit. The 5th hit of the inning. Tony Cruz singles. Got the pitcher coming up next in Lance Lynn.
Just one of those things for Garza, all of a sudden cruising along and it's getting a lot of the play with his fastball. Just not able to get the ball down, and the Cardinals taking advantage of it.
Cardinals now have 9 hits, 5 of them coming in this inning. Looking ahead to the Brewers' 6th inning, top of the order. Now the pitching's been so good, picking up the offense on a number of nights. We'll see if the offense can get going against Lance Lynn. Oh, 0-2 to Lynn. And that will retire the side, but a big blow by John Jay with 2 outs and 2 strikes. It's a 3-run homer, and the Cardinals now lead it 4-0. Do their thing here at Miller Park on a Monday night. And after the Cardinals score 3 runs in the top of the 6th, a runaway Italian sausage. And some smiles on some faces. Chorizo, a little bit of a wipeout there. But I like the way he gets up and finishes the race, Rock. You always have to pick yourself up and finish the race.
Yep. You win just by finishing.
There you go.
Correct. Never be a quitter.
Make the next right decision. Chorizo just, I think it was just the accumulation of snow there near the on-deck circle that tripped him up. Or it could have been a sunflower seed, either one. Here's Carlos Gomez to start it. Brewers behind 4-0 now. And they'll try to chip away here. Lance Lynn has been tough. Best chance to score came last inning. Brewers put 2 on, but they were 2 out, and the pitcher was coming up. Lynn struck out Garza. The Brewers stranded 2. They have just 2 hits tonight. Schafer doubled. Segura singled in the first. And a couple of walks as well, Overbay and Jeanette. Slim pickings against Indiana native Lance Lynn. And he ties up Gomez. Strikes him out again. Strikeout number 8 for Lance Lynn.
Well, he just dialed in. I mean, mixing it up in and out. The slider's been a very good pitch. He hasn't needed too many curveballs tonight. And Gomez way behind that pitch on the inner half of the plate.
Here's Gene Segura with 1 away. at the plate, presented by Wendy's. Segura with the first hit for the Brewers way back in the first inning. Was wiped out immediately by a double play off the bat of Braun. Now, this is the part of the order you want to try to do some damage. Try to get that bullpen involved. Lance Lynn with pitch number 90 coming here in this 6th inning. Get a man on. You got the muscle coming up. Ryan Braun to follow. And then Ramirez if anybody gets on. Segura whistles one to right center. That ball's hit well. Craig plays it. Segura on his way to second. The throw comes in late. A risky move by Segura, but he's in there with a hustle double.
That's not a bad move. You're down by 1-0, but down 4-0. The last thing you want to do is make an out on the bases. But Segura with great speed, realizing that Craig doesn't have a great arm out there in right. Nice inside out stroke and barrels it up and hits it hard the other way. Another Lance Lynn fastball in the inside corner.
Craig got it in as fast as he could. Segura flying around the bags. Gets himself into scoring position with 1 out, and now that he's there, a big opportunity for the Brewers with Braun coming up.
Kid can run, Kenny. Cuts those bases very well. Shortens that distance between the two bags.
And with the Cardinal outfielders so deep, he should score on a base hit to the outfield. 1 gone for Ryan Braun. Brewers need a big hit, trying to get on the board for the first time against Lynn. Seth Maness loosening for the Cardinals. And that is goal number 1 here to get Lynn out of this ball game somehow.
Yeah, got to figure out a way to chase him. Brewers haven't had many opportunities.
Very protective of Lynn with that pitch count. Braun chases one.
Fastballs in, sliders away, and hasn't really missed over the plate tonight. That slider off the outside corner.
Lays off this one and takes ball 2. They're playing deep, trying to cut off the extra base hit. Braun is 0 for 2. He bounced into a double play in the first. Lynn struck him out in the 4th. 2-2.
Man, that's some nasty sink on that fastball again. Breaking balls away, fastballs in. Boy, he's lived on the inside corner. And Brewers haven't been able to get the bat head out on him.
Leaving Braun talking to himself. Got a Ramos Ramirez due up next. Segura ready to run at second. 1 out. And the count goes full. Braun has taken the last 2 sliders by Lance Lynn.
It's either going to be a fastball in or a slider away, but I mean, that's a big difference. That's 17-inch difference. Tough to cover both sides. You got to look for one area.
3-2, and Braun strikes out. He went with the fastball, elevated it, and down he goes.
That fastball up and in.
9 strikeouts for Lance Lynn.
Yep, right on the inside corner, up in the zone. Very difficult to get to, and especially when you're not sure what you're going to get. It's been a very good pitching performance so far by Lynn.
And could be his last hitter. Certainly be his last inning. Now Ramos Ramirez with 2 away. Ramirez is 9 for 12 this year. 9 hits and 12 at-bats with runners in scoring position. The league's best. He's driven in 11 runs already. Brewers need a big hit. And a breaking ball missed inside.
Yeah, if you're Ramirez, you can sit fastball, look for one out away from you. That's why Tony Cruz is going out to have a chat with his pitcher. Yeah, make a mistake here, and the Brewers are right back in it.
Cardinals have a reliever ready. This inning continues. Be interesting to see what Matheny does with Lucroy coming up. Ramirez has lined out twice tonight. Hit the ball sharply on both occasions. And he misses inside. 3 balls and no strikes. The Brewers have Rob Wooten in their bullpen. Could mean the end of Garza here tonight after giving up a 3-run homer by John Jay last inning. Lucroy hoping for a shot here in the 6th. And there's ball 4. He walked him on 4 straight. With a 4-0 lead, Lance Lynn walks Ramirez, and now 2 on with 2 out. A trip to the mound. Eric Lilliquist, the pitching coach, on his way out.
Well, Lucroy has had a rough night, against Lance Lynn. A couple of strikeouts, both on fastballs. Lucroy not too shabby in these spots either, with men in scoring position.
Well, as promised earlier in the game, we have the AT&T fan photo of the game. You can tweet your photo, hashtag #WisFanPhoto. Got a chance to be shown in an upcoming game. It's brought to you by AT&T. Green Power Ranger enjoying this one tonight. So the meeting at the mound is over, and Lynn ready to face Jonathan Lucroy with 2 on and 2 out. Lucroy had a big hit on Saturday night against the Pirates. Big RBI, his first hit with a runner in scoring position this year. He's been the Brewers' best in that category over the last couple of years. And a little jam shot pop up, shallow right. And Craig makes a catch, and Lance Lynn. 6 shutout innings with 9 strikeouts. Probably the end of his night. Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. The Wisconsin Lottery, reminding you to please play responsibly. And by Miller Lite. It's not just a good time, it's Miller time. Well, Lance Lynn has been on top of his game here tonight. He strands 2 more Brewers on base. He's left 4 the last 2 innings. And 3 shutout. A 3-hit shutout through the first 6 for Lance Lynn. They got a big 3-run homer by John Jay. That came with 2 outs in the 6th inning. Matt Garza is back out there trying to hang in there 1 more inning to give his offense a chance to come back here tonight. Daniel Descalso batting for the first time. Matt Carpenter was ejected after he struck out in the 5th inning. Descalso hitting in his spot in the order. Cardinals coming in with a record of 7-5. They won their last 2 ball games against the Cubs at home. Lost a series to the Pirates earlier this year. Speaking of the Pirates, they're in a rain delay in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
It's a 7-7 game in a rain delay in the 6th inning. Pittsburgh has hit 6 home runs in that game. Neil Walker has 2. Marte has 1. Gabby Sanchez has hit 2. And Travis Snyder. And Cincinnati has 4 home runs. Descalso to center field. And there is the first out for Matt Garza in the 7th.
Pirates didn't do much offensively here at Miller Park. Let them get them all out of the way for when the Brewers come into Pittsburgh on Thursday night.
I mean, if I told you there were 10 home runs in a game through the first 6 innings,
yeah,
what score would you guess it would be?
You know, like 12-10,
right?
Something like that. Yeah,
7-7.
Yeah, a lot of solo shots. I would have guessed though that they were in Cincinnati.
Maybe the wind's blowing out there tonight. There's some kind of wind blowing because now there's a big rainstorm in Cincinnati.
Rain, not snow.
It could be snow.
Little mix, wintry mix.
Well, how much do we appreciate the roof on nights like this?
Yeah, huh? This game probably would have been postponed.
Yep, I think you're right. Little cue shot, and Ramirez takes care of the speedy Colton Wong. 2 up and 2 down. Now Mike Matheny knows all about playing at County Stadium in the frigid temperatures. Sophia, you had a chance to catch up with the Cardinal skipper today.
Well, he said no question we would not have been excited to play a game at County Stadium on a day like today. He said those were the games that you just dreaded, but he said he did remember his first day at County Stadium was a 6-inch snow day, but he said it was awesome because he felt like there were 60,000 shirtless people there. So he said even during the lean years we had some good support, and you know, he said certainly days like today we wouldn't have wanted to play outside, so very grateful for the Miller Park roof, and it still has a lot of good memories from his time here in Milwaukee.
Well, he was a terrific Brewer and came up through the system tough as nails, and kind of fit that mold of his manager at the time, Phil Garner. He went on to the Cardinals, Gold Glove Award winner, won 4 Gold Gloves in his career. Mike Matheny.
Yeah, there aren't too many better, defensive catchers than Mike Matheny back in his day. Brewers had some good ones. Charlie O'Brien, Matheny,
Bill Schroeder.
I'm not in their class. I wasn't bad, but not like that. Mike Matheny had the major league record for catchers with 252 consecutive errorless games. That's tough to do.
Yep.
Behind home plate, all the throwing you have to do.
Mike Matheny has been extremely vocal about the collision rule that's in place this year. Of course, he suffered maybe more than any other catcher in the big leagues, or at least as much, with concussions. Changed his career, and he said there are years that he cannot remember. Years of his playing career that
I believe
just
it.
a fog.
Yeah. Collisions, foul tips. I know I got my bell rung a couple of times on foul tips.
1-2 to Holiday, misses outside.
Concussion, who knows? Maybe. Didn't know back then. I remember one I had. It was in Oakland. It was a foul ball, hit the ground, and it hit me right on the bottom of the chin. Oh, it didn't even get the mask. I remember I went black for a couple seconds. Tough spot, tough position.
Not sure what Matt Holliday is. Something's got his eye down the right field line. Something is distracting him. Taking a look, not sure what that is. But Bob Davidson.
Something down in the ATI zone down there. I don't know. A light of some kind, or
Bob Davidson will explain to Ron Renicky.
Does Davey and Craig have the lights on down there at the set?
This could be. I mean, they may just back the car right in. I didn't know they could park so close. I thought that was reserved for one, but maybe not. And we'll see what Renicky is up to here.
That Brewers skipper going to go down the right field line here.
Talking with some of the security. Something got his attention, and Matt Holliday and Bob Davidson saw it as well. And
talking to event security to see if they can't handle it.
You could just see what he said there, distracting the hitter. Let's check in with Sophia. Do you have any more information, Sophia?
Brian, just overhearing some conversation down here. It sounds like there's a green laser, whether it's out on the outfield or down that right field line. I'm not sure, but that's what they're trying to find is a green laser light.
Oh, like Dr. Evil's hanging out there in the ATI zone.
Man, they can't mess around like that. I mean, that's not good. Somebody get hurt playing around like that.
Well, it's a 2-2 count on Holliday. And we will resume here. So Garza with 2 outs trying to get to a clean 7th. And that's a foul tip into the middle. Lucroy, a strikeout for Garza. And he is through 7. We'll see if his offense can get it going. We head to the home half.
Free Terrace game level ticket. Complete a BP Come On Back card by making 7 purchases of 8 or more gallons of gas at participating BP gas stations. Call 414-902-4000 for details.
Well, the Brewers find themselves trailing 4-0. Lance Lynn back on the mound, starting his 7th inning of work. He is up over 100 pitches, but he is working on a shutout, and Matheny's going to let it ride here.
It's going to be difficult for him to be able to finish this one. He's over 100 pitches, as you mentioned. He's at 103.
He's got a pretty good bullpen. The back end of the bullpen's solid.
With Martinez and Rosenthal.
Rosenthal saved the game yesterday. Segura pitched an inning and 2/3 yesterday as well. See the pitches by inning for Lance Lynn. Overbay takes a strike. And there is Martinez. An electric arm in that bullpen. He and Rosenthal bring it with the best of them. That's a tough 1-2 combo for the Cardinals. Overbay, left field, and Holiday makes the catch. Line drive out. Overbay tagged it, but hit it right at Matt Holiday for the first out of the 7th.
Holiday plays very deep, doesn't go back very well. It came in and was able to make a catch on his knees. Tough break for Overbay. Hit it solid, but Holiday able to make the catch.
So the first out. And here is Scooter Gennett. He went, unable to check his swing on a breaking ball. Two years ago, Lance Lynn, an 18-game winner, won 15 last year. Already been to 2 World Series in his brief career in the big leagues. Gennett pops it up, foul territory. Might be playable. Descalso just out of his reach.
Man, Lance Lynn only 26 years old. He turns 27 on May 12th. So still young, and he's accomplished a lot already. And just couldn't get there. Descalso in foul territory.
One ball, 2 strikes on Gennett. And a called strike 3. Gennett takes off. Cruz secures it at first. Right down the middle. Surprised him with a fastball.
10th strikeout for Lynn. I guess that's why his pitch count's up there, because of all the strikeouts. No doubt about that one. Clanked off the thumb of the glove, but Scooter not sure where it was. Easy out at first.
So with 2 outs, here is Logan Schafer. Schafer doubled his last time up. Mark Reynolds on deck. He'll hit for Garza. Schafer hoping to give him an at-bat in this 7th inning. Back up the middle. Johnny Peralta bobbles, and no chance now as Logan Schafer is safe on an error by Peralta, and that'll give the Brewers a swinging chance here in the 7th.
Yeah, pretty easy play from Peralta. It takes a couple of steps up the middle, just rolls right off the heel of the glove, and that'll be an E6. Here's Mark Reynolds' shot to knock one out of here.
And that would change the game quickly. 4-0 St. Louis. They got a 3-run home run from John Jay in the 6th inning. Came with 2 outs and 2 strikes. A big blow in this one. Mark Reynolds with 3 home runs on the season. That'll close the book on Matt Garza. 7 innings, 4 runs. Right now on the hook for the loss. Overbay getting the start at first the last 2 games. Reynolds has swung the bat well, and he's played excellent defensively at first base. 0-2.
Trying to find something that he can drive out of here. Lynn's not obliging. He's had such good command all night, has Lance Lynn. You don't get him early, good luck to you. That's been his history. And it's proven that way tonight.
See what he does with him here. 0-2. And Reynolds strikes out. Lance Lynn finishes strong. 11 strikeouts. He is through 7 shutout innings working on a 3-hitter. Familiar position for the Brewers, who are sitting on a 9-game winning streak. John Jay, a big 3-run homer with 2 outs in the 6th. Matt Garza is out. 7 innings, 4 runs. Lance Lynn has been the story. 7 shutout innings with 11 strikeouts. He's one off a career best. And now the Brewers will give it to the bullpen. First man up is Zach Duke as we go to the 8th.
Yeah, Les pitched on Saturday against the Pirates. Retired the only batter that he faced. That was Neil Walker in his 7th inning. Last year made 26 appearances, 1 start. Now while pitching for the Nationals and the Cincinnati Reds.
Our Marshfield Clinic shining moment had a couple in back-to-back plays. This was the cutoff and relay executed to perfection. Gomez to Segura to Lucroy. Look at this great catch by Lucroy as he tagged Holiday. And then the next batter, Alan Craig, bounces to Overbay, and they cut down Matt Adams at third base. Our Marshfield Clinic shining moment of the game. Segura has a cannon, and he's able to cut down the base runners. Unfortunately, later in that inning, John Jay hit a 3-run home run. The difference in the ball game.
And defense has been stellar this year. One of the top defensive teams in the National League. I guess that goes hand in hand with good pitching. Got to have good defense.
Matt Adams to lead off for St. Louis. He'll be followed by Craig, then Peralta. 3 hits tonight for Adams. 2 singles and a double. Bouncer to first. Overbay takes the tough hop. And Adams is retired. Now you can catch every strikeout, every game ender, and every history-making moment on MLB Whip Around. That's weeknights at 9 p.m. Central on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. It's a baseball-specific show airing weeknights. They'll do quick turnaround on highlights, in-progress games. Chris Myers hosting, and our buddy Gabe Kapler, the former Brewer, on that show as well, as Duke is out, and in comes Rob Wooten, his first appearance in the big leagues this year.
To nothing. Rob Wooten getting set to make his 2014 debut, and Rob Wooten was the last man left off the roster at spring training, something he called devastating at the time, so he was certainly relieved to be the first one called up here when Brandon Kintzler went on the 15-day disabled list. And Ron Renneke felt very comfortable with that decision, says he easily could have made this team coming out of spring training. He throws well. He made 27 relief appearances for us last year. We're comfortable putting him in any situation, and so Wooten providing some relief for the bullpen, essentially down 2 arms with Kintzler in the DL and Wei-Chung Wang, who has yet to make his debut.
Well, we might see Wang here tonight.
And it only had Wooten been 3 for 3 in saves. He's 9 up and 9 down. He's thrown 3 perfect innings down in Nashville.
Well, Zach Duke faces one batter, retires Adams. Wooten will get Alan Craig. Wei-Chung Wang is anxiously awaiting his first appearance in the big leagues. Might see him in the 9th. We'll see if the Brewers can put up a rally in the bottom of the 8th inning. It's not that the Brewers don't like Wang, and as one reporter from Taiwan asked Ron Renneke, the entire country feels like you are angry at Wei-Chung Wang and that he's not going to pitch this year. There are circumstances for Wang's soon to be a major league debut whenever that comes.
He's 21 years old. He's never pitched higher than 8 ball, and Rennicky wants to make sure that he's in a spot where he's going to be able to relax and get that first appearance out of the way. You got to protect the kid. He was in the Florida State League last year. Was Wei-Chung Wang. That's a big jump.
Wooten in a 1-2 count, and that is over the glove of Scooter Gennett. Almost came up with a play, but Alan Craig with his first hit of the night.
10 hits now for the Cardinals, who had been sputtering somewhat offensively. Started to swing the bats better against the Cubs. But a line drive bullet just out of the reach of Scooter at second. Had him played perfectly. Just couldn't get up and grab it.
So Craig is aboard. And Rob Wooten will face Johnny Peralta, who has 2 hits tonight. He's 2 for 3 with a home run. Scored 2 runs. Started the scoring with a solo homer in the second inning of Garza. And then he had the base hit that got John Jay to the plate in the 6th. Jay hit a 3-run homer. All 4 runs courtesy of the long ball tonight for St. Louis, as Wooten gets Peralta to swing and miss.
And the Cardinals came in with only 7 home runs. Only 2 teams in the National League and single digits in team home runs. The Cardinals one of them. Padres the other.
Peralta bounces to third. A chance to turn it here. Gennett over to Overbay. 5-4-3 it goes. And Rob Wooten with 2 outs in his first appearance of 2014. Brewers go around the horn. They trail 4-0.
Here at Miller Park, the Brewers trying to figure out a way to get this winning streak to 10. I had to calm you down. You got to calm down a little bit now.
Man, I'm telling you.
Hey, tempo of the pitching a lot of times dictates games. Lynn certainly had it against Milwaukee. 7 shutout innings. We're going to see a new pitcher now, Martinez, set to come in. Maybe that'll be a difference.
Well, maybe so, because, Matt Garza, just his tempo was not good. He just couldn't get into a rhythm. But on the other hand, Lance Lynn was in a nice groove.
Top of the order, though, Carlos Gomez going to lead off here, and we'll cover it all. Brewers Live postgame is on the way after the game. We get inside the clubhouse. As always, here from Ron Renicky. Plenty more to come. Let's send it back to Brian and Bill.
All right, Craig and Davey, thanks. Pete Kozma is in the game at short. Johnny Peralta taken out after bouncing into that double play. Double switch here for Matheny as Carlos Martinez, the Cardinals setup man this year to begin the season.
22 years old, out of the Dominican Republic. 21 appearances last year for the Cardinals, a 2-1 record, and they're on an average of about 5, but off to a very good start this year. Throws hard.
And his first pitch is at 98 miles an hour as Gomez swings and misses.
I guess to say throwing hard, that's an understatement, huh? 98 first pitch.
Boy, puts that one right by Gomez. Another one at 98, and it's 0-2. Some thought about Martinez being in the rotation, but they're very deep in their starting rotation, so he can air it out in the bullpen. He has closer stuff. There's Wei-Chung Wang, and his major league debut may be coming up shortly, unless the Brewers can score some runs. And Gomez strikes out. So Martinez makes quick work of Carlos Gomez. It's the 12th strikeout for the Brewers offense tonight.
They've dropped a slider on him. Now you throw 98, you got to get that bat started quickly or early, and then he drops that pitch on you. Martinez actually made a start last year for the Cardinals. '21 appearances, 1 start. Average almost a strikeout per inning pitched.
Sheen Segura's in our Jimmy John's freaky fast delivery, stretching a single into a double. Segura with his second hit of the night. That was back in the 6th inning. Came with 2 outs, 2 out of 3.
And grabbing the bag on the infield side of the base, making that tag a little bit longer.
And he rolls one to short, and there is out number 2. Martinez, one of the prize prospects out of that St. Louis system. They have arms galore in that system. And with 2 away, it'll be Ryan Braun. Martinez to Trevor Rosenthal is how Mike Matheny gets to the finish line when he has a late lead. Kyle Segrist is in that group as well. Or Kevin Segrist, I beg your pardon, who throws in the mid to upper 90s from the left side. Little pop up. Kozma is under it. And Martinez rolls right through the Brewers in the 8th. Maybe it's Wang time here in Milwaukee in the 9th. We'll see. his major league debut here tonight at Miller Park. He's been patiently waiting, and you could say it's been a long time coming for him to get on the mound.
How long have you been waiting? 2 weeks for that?
No, just waiting.
I said that he was in the Florida State League. Actually, he was in the Gulf Coast League in rookie ball, not A ball. Had Tommy John surgery in 2012. And signed with the Pirates as a non-drafted free agent in 2011. And you see Lucroy giving him a pep talk, trying to calm him down, making his major league debut at age 21.
We saw a lot of him this spring, and he looks good. He is a hard-throwing left-hander. You can bet the Brewers, they would not sit on Wei-Chung Wang in that bullpen, and they're trying to protect him a little bit because he's never pitched above rookie ball if he didn't have great stuff. They got him from the Pirates. The reason he's in the major leagues is because they picked him up in what they call the Rule 5 draft, and if he does not stay in the major leagues, the Brewers have to offer him back to the Pirates, or they can work out a trade. I'm sure the Pirates would take him right back in a second.
Oh yeah, Pirates didn't want to lose him.
He has a very strong throwing arm, and what we saw this spring, he threw a lot of strikes. He was unaffected by big league hitters. We'll see how he does in his first major league game, facing John Jay to start this inning. And his first pitch in the big leagues is a ball. Didn't miss by much.
You know what we saw up and down in the minor league or in spring training, it was a good fastball, fairly straight, pretty much straight over the top, and he was very good at keeping the ball down.
Well, Jay late on that one, fouls it off. 1-1 the count. The plan is not to keep Wang on the back burner this year. They're hoping he can emerge as either a long man or somebody they can use in what they call low leverage situations like this.
Well, you're down a few runs and you got the bottom of the Cardinals order up. That's what Ron Renneke was looking for, a way to get him in there and not have too much pressure on him. Rick Kranitz keeping an eye on him.
And a bouncing ball. That is a foul ball. 2 balls and 2 strikes on John Jay. Let's take a look at the mechanics of Wei-Chung Wang.
You see him pretty much straight over the top. I mean, he doesn't have the real advantage against a left-handed hitter with respect to an arm angle. Has a little bit of a hesitation in his delivery.
Fly ball to Schafer. And Wei-Chung Wang's first batter faced in the big leagues is an out.
I see a lot of the Asian players that come over here with that hesitation. Just a little bit of a mechanism to make sure they're balanced on their back leg before they fire to home plate. Fairly common with the Asian pitchers.
Well, the last time Wang pitched in a game, that was an exhibition game against Kansas City on March 28th. He's been throwing bullpen sessions, sometimes even after games. If he didn't get in a game, Lee Tunnell has observed him throw a bullpen session, an extended session, just to get some work, try to stay as sharp as possible.
Yeah, very poised young man for as inexperienced as he is. He doesn't seem to be overwhelmed. He didn't in spring training, and of course it's a little bit different. You know, the third deck here at the ballpark, and the big crowds, and I would imagine a lot's going through that head of his right now.
1 ball, 1 strike. Tony Cruz at the plate with 2 hits tonight. Took a little off of Dandy. 1-2 the count from Wang.
Dropped a changeup on him at 84 miles an hour.
Wang is the youngest player from Taiwan to play in the major leagues. He'll turn 22 at the end of the month on April 25th. Another one. Good changeup. Had Cruz out in front and 2 outs. As we check in with Sophia with more on Wei-Chung Wang. What do you have, Sophia?
Brian, in a conversation with Director of Pro Scouting Zach Majian, he said that the comparison of what Wang is trying to do of making the jump from the Gulf Coast to the major leagues is similar to a high school kid trying to make the jump to the NBA. And a similar comparison would be Johan Santana when he was 21 years old, was a Rule 5 guy. First year in the big leagues, threw 70-plus innings, had a high ERA, but obviously you see the career that he turned out to have. And coming back from Tommy John, they had he would be on track to throw 60 to 70 innings this season. So good for him to make his debut here today.
Well, that'll be a project that they monitor closely all season long as they build for the future. I guess the biggest question is Cosma in his first at-bat, singles to right. Biggest question, Rocky, is can you afford to have a spot in your major league bullpen for a guy that you've got to take this kind of care of in his first year in the major leagues?
And particularly if you're thinking about competing or contending for a playoff spot. I mean, if the starting rotation continues to be able to eat up innings and the rest of the guys in the bullpen do their job, yes, you can. But as soon as the Brewers decide that they're going to send him down, I mean, that's when the Pirates will jump all over him. They were stunned that the Brewers took him. They felt as though they could hide him, down in that rookie ball, and didn't think anybody was going to pick him up. But the Brewers scouting department did their homework and picked him up, and they feel like they have a diamond in the rough in Wei-Chung Wang.
Daniel Descalso at the plate. Wang zips a fastball in there for a strike. Wang is the 11th Taiwanese pitcher, or player I should say, the 8th Taiwanese pitcher to play in Major League Baseball. That's courtesy of our friends from Elias. Fly ball to left. And that is a scoreless inning in his Major League debut. Wei-Chung Wang, welcome to Milwaukee and welcome to the United States. Park, and the Brewers' 9-game winning streak is in jeopardy tonight. St. Louis with a 4-0 lead. Lance Lynn 7 shutout, and now Carlos Martinez trying to finish this one off for the Cardinals. A 1-2-3 8th inning for Martinez. Here's Aramis Ramirez to start the 9th. And Ramirez on the first pitch out to center field. And out number 1. Oh, good to see Wei-Chung Wang make his major league debut here tonight and gets his clock started. And the Brewers are hoping to get him in a position where they can start using him more. And you could see him emerging as the Brewers' long man at some point. He is a starter in waiting, they hope.
Well, you said, can the Brewers afford to have a guy like that on their roster? I mean, it's tough to do that if you want to contend, but I think he's got enough stuff, and it looks like he has the poise to be able to. I think Ron Rennie is going to use him at some point. Maybe not right away, but I don't think he's going to ride out in that bullpen and just pitch him in, uneventful innings. I mean, way behind, way ahead. I think he has some value out there in that bullpen right now. I mean, he threw some pretty good changeups. I mean, if you're all cranked up and amped up in your first major league appearance, last thing you're going to do is be throwing changeups for strikes.
Yeah, that's a great point. Got a fastball humming along at 93, 94 miles an hour.
Got a slider to go with it. Yeah, 3 good pitches, and he throws them for strikes.
Our buddy Andrew Grumman, who writes for FoxSportsWisconsin.com, made a great point on Twitter. He said, a big day for Wang. He saw snow for the first time. Got his first big league paycheck. And he got his first big league game. Good stuff as Lucroy flies out. 2 up, 2 down. Brewers in danger of being shut out. No Powerball home run balls as of yet. Brewers have 12 this year on the Powerball home run count. Carlos Gomez is the club leader with 4. And they could use that 5-run home run right about now. Martinez has them down to their last out. And Overbay takes a ball down and away. Remember, the Brewers were shut out in a Matt Garza start against Atlanta the last time they lost. Nearly 2 weeks ago. That was a 1-0 loss. Garza went 7 tonight, giving up 4 earned runs. And it is a strike, 2-1. Don't forget, tomorrow the Brewers and the Cardinals for game 2. It's Marco Estrada against Shelby Miller. Estrada coming off a win, beating Cliff Lee and the Phillies his last time out. Broken bat. A little roller to Wang at second. Colton Wang. And that'll do it. So the 9-game winning streak comes to an end for the Brewers. Mike Matheny and the Cardinals come in. They win 4-0, get a 3-hit combined shutout from Lance Lynn and Carlos Martinez. Lynn goes to 3-0. Matt Garza drops to 0-2. Time for Brewers Live. We check in with Craig Cashon. What do you have coming up for us, Craig?
All right, Brian, thanks very much. Plenty coming up. The Brewers will have plenty to say about what transpired over the last 9 games and what they're looking forward to. Game 2 of the series coming up against the Cardinals tomorrow night. We'll take a look at it all here from the Brew Crew and Ron Renicky. Brewers Live postgame is on the way on Fox Sports Wisconsin.